Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
now
it shows.
It's on,
Yeah.
it's recording.
on.
It shows.
All right. Somehow I'm not hearing you so well, but I am recording. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not hearing you so well. Let me just make an adjustment. I hear you very good now. Okay. Are we all ready?
Ready.
Okay. So my option to record.
We only have 4 participants. Do you want to see if anyone's in the waiting room?
Yeah. You'll see. Yes. Okay. Yes. Great. Thank you. Thank you for being a cool assistant. Thank you. Okay. All right. Great. I can't see that people are waiting in the waiting room for some reason. Okay, great. I'll keep my eye on that. Let me just see if everybody's here. Okay, Kim, we're missing Kim, but he might be on the phone. Okay. Does everybody hear me? If you can unmute.
Yes.
Okay. Is Kim here?
I don't see his name.
Okay.
Unless
On the iPhone. Okay. All right. Well, I'll keep my eye out for him if he's waiting. Okay.
Right.
All right. So this is my ground today, and I created a ground out of what I'm going to consider olive green. I was looking in my toolbox, and I did not find an olive green, to my surprise. So I decided to make my own. And how I did that is I used a burnt umber, a ultramarine blue, and a cadmium yellow. And I mixed that together to create this olive green. So I'm just going to start doing an underpainting, and I want to do that now because it's important that you guys get a little understanding of what underpainting is. So does everybody have their palettes ready? And when we're going to be doing underpainting, I'm okay if you don't have olive green. You can also use alizarin crimson and an ultramarine blue, getting your darks to lights in that, which will be like a purple. And I'm okay with the fact that everybody doesn't have olive green. I just want to be understanding that we're going to be doing underpainting for 15 minutes. Okay, just checking to see. Okay, well we can okay.
Was that 50 minutes?
Excuse me?
Was that 50 or 15?
Oh, 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Sorry, 15 minutes. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't understand that. Okay, so I'm going to do 15 minutes, and I actually would like, can somebody time 15 minutes for me? That would be great. Okay, cool. Okay, so here I go. I'm starting the same way I would any other painting. I'm going down with my darkest, which would be my unmixed olive green, okay? And I'm going to cut over. I'm going over. And here we go. All right, so I'm always bringing my little ponytail to the end here. Okay. All right, there we go. Let's just say I'm just doing my darks, right? Not going to be absolutely perfect in precision just yet because I'm just starting to mark my darks. Right? So here we go. Same thing, olive green. And in fact, a lot of the olive green procedure is totally blocking in. And then you go back in with when it's dry. Now, this is the difference. You go back in when it's dry, because drying is important. And you apply that same color of olive green and you mix it at the second time you come down. So you mix that color. Okay?
Sorry, I did not understand what we're waiting to dry.
Oh, okay. So you're blocking in your olive green, and as it's completely blocked in, and you're finished blocking it in, you've added your lights, your darks, and everything there. That's when you let it dry, and then you come back in and you can fan brush it. That's how you would do an underpainting. But in this case, since we're only going to be doing a little bit, I'm going to try to help you with that one.
How
Okay.
long does it take to dry?
Oh, just like a night, just a night. No, I mean, it's not like you want it completely dry. Some people do want it completely dry because you want it completely dry. Well, actually, we're going to just go right into it today. Okay. We're going to go right into the fan brushing method as well. Now, when we want it completely dry, I'm just mixing my olive green here, excuse me. When we want it completely dry is definitely before we add color to the underpainting. Okay. Before we add color to the underpainting, you definitely want it completely dry because you don't want to add in what your underpainting is to your color. In fact, your color is going to be actually lighter than any like application of oil paint. It's going to be almost like you're putting on makeup because you want what you've done underneath to show in the underpainting. Okay. So that is important that you would definitely not, um, work on wet when it comes to underpainting. You want that dry. You want to be able to use that all that work that you've done in the underpainting. You want that to be used as like a body and I guess like you're going to be kind of like it's like you're putting on makeup with the color. It's like you're applying skin. It's really quite dramatic. Underpainting. So. No, I don't think we're going to wait for it to dry today. But if I was doing this on my own, I would block it in. I would get a lot done. I would dry it, go back, work on it some more. You know, I don't think it has to be totally dry when you're doing the preliminaries, when you're just working it, when you're just starting the painting. In fact, it wouldn't matter whether you were working wet on wet and just the underpainting beginning, but you do want to get some paint on that canvas. This is not something that you want to do lightly. You don't want to have that kind of like see-through canvas when it comes to underpainting. You definitely want to add paint, you know? Okay, so I'm just getting my major darks in.
I'm sorry, what you're putting on now, you don't want to be light?
I'm sorry, I'm not following. I'm just putting my darks in right now. I'm trying to follow, but what were you saying that I don't want it to be light?
Heavy.
Heavy?
You do want it to be
I
heavy
don't.
now.
Okay, so what you want to do is you definitely want to apply paint to your painting. You don't want to put light painting. You don't want to see through your canvas. You're not applying watercolor, lightly. You're applying oil paint. So you want to apply oil paint. You want to put it on heavy, You want to put it on heavy. It's definitely textured. I'm sorry, I didn't understand. That's okay. I hope you understand me. I'm sorry. Okay. You definitely want to put some oil paint on that brush because you're going to be moving it around. I haven't even yet applied my white or my light. I'm still applying dark.
What color are you using for your dark?
I'm using olive green.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I'm using olive green, and if you don't have olive green, you can use. Let me just make sure everybody's here. You can use alizarin crimson. You can use the various of other colors, that are dark. As long as you can you can even use black and white if you really wanted to, and just work in the shades of gray. You can do that. That's not a problem. Okay, you can do that. If you want to use like an ivory black and white, you definitely can. If you don't have your oil paint like olive green, don't worry about it. You'll get it one day, and it will be just the process that you're learning. Okay. Now, I'm going to start to add my lights in with my olive green now, and that should help me get a little bit of structure to the face, right? And because I decided I'm not going to wait for my olive green to dry because we're just doing a 15-minute, we're just doing a 15-minute painting study here. Excuse me, I'm in the city, so there's everybody, you know, they have to be heard. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so now I'm adding my lights. And I'm just gonna add my whites and, you know, like where it's the lightest, right? So here I am in my underpainting, adding my lights. And then I am going to I'm going to start to fan brush as soon as I get all the details that I want in. And the reason why I'm going to fan brush is because I really want to show you how you would deal with an underpainting and why it has to dry and all that stuff that you're doing. Because this is a different, like you definitely could use a palette knife to blend. I just wanted to show you something different. And sometimes some people do like using fan brushes, and there's nothing wrong with using fan brushes. It's just a different method of blending. The only thing also with the fan brush is that when you're using your fan brush, you kind of need to, how do you say, apply more paint to the area because you don't want to lose your paint. You don't want to like get it all thinned out. You need that paint to show because you're also going to be applying paint and this is going to be your map to where all your lights and darks are, and you're going to be applying paint to that, okay? Color to that when this is all dry, right? Okay. I think that somebody asked what color I was using, and I want to elaborate that I did not have my olive green today. Okay, I thought I had enough, but I just didn't have enough. I had some, but I thought I just didn't have enough. And so what I did is I used burnt umber, ultramarine blue, and cadmium yellow. And I mixed this together and got a deep dark olive green. I may have mixed more yellow and blue than burnt umber. So burnt umber was to take it back some, to make it darker, to bring that depth in. Okay, yeah, I got this brown coming through. That's okay. Just look at that as our dark. Okay. All right. Okay. So basically I'm totally drawing like as if I was drawing with a pencil, right? Right? And I am basically just getting all my darks in with this olive green. I'm gonna go back in using my light mixed with my green, giving myself like a light value in here. Okay, and it goes a little in there, I can see that. Okay. Anybody have questions? Please interrupt, it's okay.
So that's light olive green you're using now?
Yes, it's the olive green that I mixed, but if you were using olive green, this is what, you know, it would look like. That's the mapping that you want to get when you're bringing it through. Don't worry about the color because the color is not important. I like olive green, that's my choice, but you may like alizarin crimson. It's about the limited palette. It's about the limited palette and getting in, excuse me? Anybody? I'm sorry, anybody? We can have a conversation, guys. You can talk, it's okay. I
Is
like,
this the technique that you've been using in all of the different demonstrations you've done?
excuse me?
Is
I didn't,
this the technique you've been using in the other demonstrations you've done?
well, what are you saying, like about working and mapping form, just getting the darks in first? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that? Because this is definitely a different technique, right? It's using a different type of medium to get where I want to go, right? But the way I approach the painting is the same. That's how I see the work. Okay, so the way I would approach the painting would be the same as in working, not line drawing. I evade line drawing altogether. There's not a time that I do it. I don't do it at all. You know, there's not a time. Even in drawing, I evade the line. I just do because I don't want the line on my work. There are people who do want the line on their work, and they have their reasons for doing that. That's what they call their own process. That's why my work is different than the next person's work, because of our individual process. And what I want to get from you here is not to, you know, mimic the style, but find your style, but know different tools that you can use to make this work for you. Okay, I just want to make sure that nobody's waiting. Okay, excuse me. Okay. All right. Excuse me. Okay. So here we go. Still mapping darks. Okay. Still mapping darks. Definitely want to, so your eye is definitely it's been trained to just capture the dark. See, it's already doing exactly what it's supposed to do. You know, you're drawing with just a limited palette, and you're not even thinking about, you know, anything but the lights and darks. And that's exactly what you want to do, because you're mapping. You're not getting into all the different things, the avenues that don't take you to where you need to be when it comes to this work. You know, it's not about, you know, it's only about capturing the image. And sometimes it takes more than one sitting to do that. Definitely. You know, even I like to go back into the work that I'm doing with you guys on a demo. I enjoy it. It's my work. And so I want to, like, you know, give it, you know, I can do that real quick. Yeah, sure. But I want to do it like, you know, the way I like it, you know. It's a demo. So you want to make sure that the people understand and that they have a choice in the matter of how they do things. Okay. So this is something I like to do. I got my little tiny brush here, and I pulled out my tiny brush, and I usually work with small brushes, you know, I do. And that's a telltale tale that, like, you know, in some ways I enjoy working small. I don't like to admit it, but
That's 15 minutes.
Excuse me? Okay, thank you. Is it 15 minutes?
Yep.
Okay, great, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go on and just blend this really quickly with the fan brush so you can see, since it's already wet. Just wanted to get all my darks in so it makes sense, right? Okay. And then I'm going to take it from there and just continue on with the same canvas as I go on and, excuse me, here's my fan brush. It's a little crazy, but it's mine. As I go on and start telling you about the palette knife demonstration, okay? So with the fan brush, you want to take a dry brush, right? And you want to sort of cross hatch, like just cross.
Can you somehow do it so we can see the brush hitting the image?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think that I can.
Because all we see is the back of your hand.
Oh, I see. So try to move it. Move it. So let's see. That light bulb is terrible. see better?
Yeah, yeah.
Just don't know how you're going to do this. All right, so in this, I'm just taking one color and I'm scratching very lightly just into the next color. And I'm going to do it on top too. Fan brushes are very precise, a lot different than just taking your palette knife and
Show us what the fan brush actually looks like.
well, just a second, please. I'm just going to do this first, and then I showed you the fan brush before, so I'll get to it again. I'm just taking my brush here, and fan brushes can be any size you want them. Okay, now I have my fan brush. I'm making sure my fan brush is also dry. Very important. So important that your fan brush is dry. Okay, so now I'm going to move my fan brush very lightly. I'm hardly going to touch my canvas. In fact, the motion of the wind that I use on this fan brush should be enough to start to, oh, deals, this is fat. Hold on. Here's another one. Let me use this one. Much better, smaller. You can see that? Can you guys see that, guys?
Yes.
Okay, that's better. Okay, so here I am. I am blending. I'm touching very lightly. I'm just touching very lightly. And all I'm doing is I'm blending in that mark that I made. So I made like a little scratch mark on the side, like very fast, okay? And in this area, very lightly, and there, I blended that area. You can't see it very much, but the area is blended, okay? All right, so that's why you go over this over and over again. And okay, so fan brushing is very tedious. All right, so I'm also going to use this motion here. Look at this rounding motion to bring down paint on that cheekbone. The slow, you know.
We can't see what you're doing right this second when you said use this.
I can't really get close to the painting. Let me see if I can by lifting it. I need something to prop this. Can you see better? I'm trying to get you to see better. Okay. I can't, I don't know. Can you see? Thank you. Okay, sorry guys. I'm really sorry, but I'm having a little hard time getting this situated. Rather just go, and I can probably zoom in on it. I don't know what they'll be able to see fan brush action. Sorry. Wow. All right, let's see. Huh. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it right now. I'm sorry. I can show you. I really wanted to see this. I'm sorry. I can't really get that close with the fan brush. It is a motion that, but I think this is just a demo right now. Can you see it better this way?
Or just describe, are you flicking it back and forth?
Well, Okay. Here we go. All right. So this is the fan brush in here. Okay. So lightly, I'm actually just smoothing out that mark lightly. So here I go. Doing this cross hatching where the colors start to blend in with each other. Okay. Okay. They're blending. It's very different than using your palette knife where it's just one stroke. Okay. So I have blended all this. And I want to come down further into my cheekbone area, and I'm blending. Do you see this now?
Yes,
Is this
thanks.
something you can see? Hello?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, thank you. Okay, great. Here we go.
When you're done, will the paint be smooth or will there still be thicker areas?
Okay. When I'm done, the paint will be, yeah, it will be smooth. It's smooth as you like it. As smooth as you work it, you know? It's really, all the blending that you do. So it will be smooth like flesh. And that's what you want. You want it to be smooth. And that's what the old masters would use. That's how they use the work. So you could actually see a beautiful painting and underpainting and not even have the color on it yet, but that's how they would blend. So this is what they would blend. This is how they blend, with the fan brush very lightly, constantly drying your fan brush. Okay. So you don't want to blend things and scratch the paint to mix with the fan brush. That's not what you want to do. You don't want your fan brush covered with paint really at all. You want it always dry. And so you can manipulate it. If it's getting too close to the paint and in the paint, you need to dry it. You need to really wipe it on a towel and make sure you can get that off. Like make sure that the paint is not on there dampening the bristles. You don't want that. You want the bristles to be almost dry. You just want it to, because you need it to not leave strokes in your work. So you need it to not leave strokes in your work, right? So you just want it to be like an invisible print, right? Okay. Can everybody see the value of the fan brush now? Do you see what that does?
Yes.
Yes. I just need you to understand. So we're going to go on from here. But this is the fan brush, and I just really wanted to get that in for you guys because we talked about underpainting, and then I realized, oh my gosh, I really didn't take into consideration that this is such a quick course in paint. So if you look at my painting now, okay, you can see that it's smoother. It's not like the brush strokes, the palette knife stroke, okay? This is definitely smoother, all right? So you can see that, okay? That's it right there, right? So that's the underpainting. I'm not finished in all the work I would do, but this is an underpainting. This is what the underpainting would look like. Of course, adding more and all that stuff, and I'll do that for you to update the demo, but that's an underpainting, okay? Okay, so that's what you would do. And it would go that way through the hair, through everything, through the background, through everything. You would let that dry, and then you would take your fan brush and lightly apply color. Lightly. That means you want this to show through your color. You want all this stuff to show through your color. So this is really the painting. The underpainting is the painting. So if you go to the Gallery Uffizi, and you go and you see Caravaggio's work, they have a special exhibition of x-rays of Caravaggio's work because they're all underpaintings underneath them. And sometimes you can even see other paintings that he started and covered up. So that's also very interesting. So I'm just going to go on to our next because I want to show you how to blend with a palette knife. And you all can definitely ask me questions, and I hope we have all this on video. On record.
you basically like do the painting in those tones and then tint it.
Yes, you tint it with color. Yes.
And you tint it with your fan brush with a flicking motion?
So it's like applying makeup with your fan brush, right?
That's so cool.
I don't know.
No,
I
that's what it
apply
sounds like.
makeup with my wearing it over
Well,
my
I'm not
face.
saying, I mean, I don't apply makeup, but I'm just saying that I'm trying to be, kind of, just saying a fan brush looks like something that most women use makeup or makeup artists use makeup with. And that's exactly how you would apply it. So you apply it very lightly. Some people apply it hard, but that's not what you would do with this. This is something that you want to see underneath the paint. And so also the ground color that you use. This color of olive green. Well, that's definitely going to, I would say that's definitely going to influence your pigment that you put on your face. It's going to definitely influence it. It may even make it more naturalistic, because it has this green in there, and so that green and the pinks and things like that bring it some depth. So there's that as well. But this fan brush, you see how it is now? That's not good. I want this thing dry when I use it. I want it as dry as I possibly can get it, because I need it to fan. I need it to blow like the wind through the paint and give it little push, just a little push, and you can see the paint moving as you're moving your fan brush as quickly as you can. See, I'm moving it very quickly. See that? See that?
Mhm.
Moving
Yes.
it very quickly. I don't have to be touching the canvas. That's not what I want anyway. I just want this whispery motion of moving that canvas. And that's why moving that paint. And that's why you apply a good amount of paint to your canvas, because it's got to be able to move, and that's what you do with a fan brush. You move paint. Okay. So that's the underpainting. And I will definitely give you guys a follow-up on that as well. That's a good follow-up, and I'm going to give you a nice follow-up of what a complete underpainting looks like, and then I'll apply like color to parts of it so you can see how I'm doing it. And I may even make a video for you. Okay. So
What
here we
are some other good colors for undercoating?
What did you say? I'm sorry.
Yeah. What are some other good colors for undercoating?
So you can do alizarin crimson, you can do olive green, you can do black and gray, different grades of gray. And you can do there are people who use all kinds of colors that they know they're going to mix too. So there's, you can do ochre yellow and burnt umber and white. I mean, you can make your own limited palette of an underpainting, but what you want is the extreme dark. So you want to follow some kind of deepness and darkness. You need that extreme dark. So you're not going to go light blue. You're going to go ultramarine and raw and burnt umber, and the darkest you can get it. Or you want to go for alizarin crimson mixed with like a burnt umber, getting the darkest they can get it, and then going lighter as you're adding white. That's important. You need your darknesses to show through the color, the tints of color that you're going to apply later. That's important. And I'll put a little bit of information about that. I believe Nelson Shanks also did underpainting, and a couple other people, Caravaggio and other things. But I want to go on and move. Can somebody give me another 15-minute time? Okay. So now I'm going to do I'm not even going to do a ground on this one. I'm going to show you what it's like to not have a ground, and watch how vibrant the colors are. Okay. It makes me a little uncomfortable not having a ground, but I'm going to do it. I got my palette knife. I'm gone, right in there. Okay, I'm starting to add my darks. Look how dry that is though, To me it is, So I'm adding my darks. Gotta get some paint on there. I'm doing a lot of blending now. So because I'm using a palette knife, I need to be able to make sure I have enough paint on my palette knife to move it around, right? So I'm getting my local color, get that in there. Right. Okay. Right. My ear. Okay. My nose. Some people love using the palette knife to paint. I mean, they consider it very easy. I'm just grabbing paint on my palette knife. You need paint on that palette knife. You can't just, load it up with nothing. Okay.
How do you actually get the paint on your palette knife? You get it directly from the palette, or you?
Yeah, directly from the palette. And you may even mix some colors before you do it so you can grab them to make sure that the palette knife, I wouldn't say that it would take a study to use it, but I would say that it's a pensive. It looks spontaneous, but I feel like when it comes to your palette, it's more pensive. I think it's not as impulsive, because you want to make sure that you have all your paints out so you can get to work. Because it doesn't you're using a palette knife. You got to move fast because you want to capture the image. You don't want to move slow. It's sort of like, it's different than a brush. It's much more rigid, You want to have that paint out and ready in large quantities when you're dealing with a palette knife. Okay, I'll start to add a little bit more depth so you can see where I am. Okay. All right. Well, excuse me. I can see actually better.
Can we see what your palette knife looks like before you put it on the canvas, please?
Sure. Just a second, let me put this on here. I don't want to lose any paint. This is my palette knife. Your palette knife may be different. Palette knives are also very good for when you go get a palette knife and you choose a palette knife the way you like to move it. The way, if it fits good in your hand, is this the one that you want? Do you want a diamond shaped one? It's about how you move. It's the same thing as a brush. So this is my palette knife. This is one of my favorite palette knives, but I have several all around, but I'll always grab this one, and I can't tell you, but it moves good for me. I like the way it moves. I use it in everything, so I like the shape of it, but this is definitely something, it's not a requirement to have this palette knife. Other people use different palette knives all the time. It's just as a choice of using a brush. Okay.
So can we see your palette where you have your mixed colors?
Today palette is not it's a mess. It's not even important. It's not important to see my palette for this. It's not important because, how can I say? It's not important because it's my palette is not the way I can't even explain it. It's I don't understand why my palette was, I don't know. It's just, the palette is not a limited palette. It's just paint, all over the place. That's all it is. I can show it to you if you really need to see it, but it has nothing to do with what I'm doing actually, because I'm gathering the paint that I see. So this is not a limited palette. This is just the palette knife. Okay. All Okay, so when I turn this camera around to show you my palette, it's just like I'm stopping the demo. So here we go. This is the palette. That's my palette. Okay. See that? I'm not sure you can see that. That's what the palette looks like. To me, a palette is a very personal thing. It's not something that you copy or you under. It's like you put paint down, and it's about how you work. It's very much about your own process. It's very much about your own process, the palette. It's not something, I mean, some people think it's that academic. If you continue to just like have to define everything, you lose the momentum of the paint. You lose the momentum of your passion, of how you're applying paint and the paints that you're choosing, because this is not like a paint by numbers. This is painting, but I'm showing you different processes of painting. So my palette doesn't really have, you know, like we could do a whole course on like mixing and palettes, but you're going to be asking, well, your palette doesn't look like this and that, so you're going to get lost in that, you know. And that is not the important part about your palette. That's why I never put it on the syllabus, because your palette is an individual thing, you know. You should apply as much paint down on your palette as you can, and you definitely should be, you know, using, how can I say? I don't know. You should be mixing as you go along. You know, I said one thing about the palette before, and I posted information about the palette, but I can't be a role model for a palette. I don't keep a clean palette. I don't even believe in it. You know, I can't do that. To me, that's my process, you know, and I am sharing the process with you, you know. All right.
I like the scraping sound.
Yeah, well, that's the palette knife, right? So I haven't even begun to blend in this palette knife, and I probably won't, because what the effect of the palette knife that you're going to get is like, it's very different. It's not, you may want to blend it, you know, as you're going along, but it seems, like I said, it seems impulsive, but it's a lot of planning. You know, you definitely want to get paint down and thick. You want globs of paint so you can move that paint. You know, I got like all these globs of paint out, and I'm moving paint. You know, I'm blending it with my same palette knife in with the other colors. Oh, yeah. Just putting even more down. Okay. Here you go. If you want, I could take a picture of my palette every time we start, before we start, so that way we don't have to stop. Okay. All right, so back again. Here we go. So my mixing is different here, because instead of like eyeing it with a brush and painting it and softly being able to apply, I'm not able to do that right now. I'm only able to apply paint with this knife, which is much more rigid. All right. So I'm going to be adding areas that are, you know, that are the local color. And then I'm going to just try to bring it on in. I'm making a scratching noise because I'm trying to actually alleviate paint, take paint away from certain areas as I'm applying it. Here it is, like that, right? Because I want to add certain lights and darks now, because I got to get into my features. Okay. Gotta get into that. Gotta add this darkness in here for my eyebrow. Bring it up here. There I go with that lightness. Now I want to come in here and take it from my blue over here, my ultramarine blue. I'm going to come over here and shape in the eye. Okay, just shape it in with the end of my palette knife. And I'm going to, there we go. There you go. And in here, pupil comes down. I see it. I want to add it in there. I want to block it so you guys can see it too. I want you to see how much paint I'm putting on there. Okay, there we go. Shaping the ear, shaping the inside of the ear. Don't worry about that. Here we go. Bumping down my burnt sienna. I need some nice oranges in here. Yeah, orange mixed with white. There I go. So you want your paint to be on thick, right? But you also want to be able to control it, right? And believe it or not, if you have more paint on your palette knife, you will be able to control that. Okay. Just careful that you don't cut your canvas. Okay. All right. I know you guys can see where I'm going with this. I know that you understand this because it just seems like a little foreign, but your palette knife, you want as much color as you can possibly get on your palette because you don't know, you're almost like, it's like you're painting from impulse. You need to just get it in. You can also paint on a limited palette with a palette knife. I mean, the palette knife is just a technique of getting the paint on to the canvas, okay? And if I'm gonna add my darks, you know, there it is, right there, here. Okay, and there I am. There's my ear that I gotta work it out, you know, sort of draw with the palette knife in there. Here it is, here. And then we go over, there it goes, nice, yeah. And in here, I wanna add my whites, right? Because that's the white of my eye and it's right there. And now I got that little dot there. And guess what? It comes over, the lightness comes over here. I'm drawing with my palette knife now. I'm drawing with my palette knife. There it goes. There we go. Okay. This comes down, down, and over. Okay. And here I see darkness. Use the back of my palette knife for that smoothness. There it goes. Adding ultramarine blue and burnt sienna to various areas, okay? Because it's the hair, so I don't want it to go black. I just want it to be like a dark brown. There it goes. Let's merge this ridiculous line of where the canvas meets the cheap canvas. The stretcher bars meets the cheap canvas. Okay. Okay. And because we have a palette knife, it's going to make it just that much harder. Okay, to smooth out those kind of lines. So you go back with that with a softer brush.
That's
And
15 minutes.
thank you. Thank you.
Computer stop.
You're a gem. Okay. All right. So I want to kick back the darkness in here as well. Okay. If you guys can start to see my face, now I'm going to take out some large parts, okay, of this color. Here we go. There we go. Let's just get that in there. We can always go back with our palette knife and do something different. Let's get that nose. The color. So look at, I'm blocking color. I think palette knife is like sculpting. It really is. And how you can really bring it out. Move in some of that up here. There we go. And in here. Okay. And I know we're done our 15 minutes and we're going to, get up and go into our break rooms, but I just want to show you where I'm going. Does everybody understand me with this palette knife? Please talk to me.
Yeah, I can't wait to try it.
Anybody else have any questions? Please don't be afraid to ask. Any questions? I can't see you guys, so you gotta like talk to me or like.
No, it's so cool.
Are you serious? You like it?
Yes, like somebody said, I can't wait to try it, and I'm too scared to try it, and it's
Can I tell you that when I was at PAPA, it seemed like most people would I would say they were cheating. I always said that in the beginning. When I said, look at them, they're cheating because I considered the palette knife to be easy, but when you really get into it, it's not easy, it's just sort of like fun, but it's not like easier to brush, So I used to tell people that they were cheating. And we used to see that in PAFA, like they were cheating. Like, oh, we had terrible critiques of people that we wouldn't even give them a critique. We were just
Really?
like, oh, palette knife, Yeah, isn't that weird? It was terrible. It's like so like students can be so ignorant and rude, but that we were ignorant and rude, and people that like had their whole portfolios made up of palette knife work, we totally dissed them. So we were like, oh, that is so cheap. I mean, all they did was use a brush. Use a palette knife to get the effects. Because with a palette knife, you can get these really cool dramatic effects. Look. Okay, so definitely, man, I'm sorry, but definitely I am nowhere near finished of creating a face. But I needed you guys to understand what the palette knife does. Now, can you see? You understand?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can get rid of those knife marks or you don't have to. That's really up to what you're creating. Perhaps you need those knife marks to express something deeper. Or maybe you don't want to see them at all, so you're going to use that stroke. Let's do it right in front of your face so you can see it. That goes like this. Look at how that wipes away everything. All right, but for me, I'm actually enjoying all these knife stroke type things on my face because it adds texture, but it also, because it's a palette knife drawing and it's probably going to be a lot more in the realms of, a painterly fashion to the T. I want to leave that sort of gesture there, I just feel like that works. And in here, my mouth would be, and in here, my chin would be. So I will work on this a little more while you guys are out and doing your thing. I'm definitely here for you. Anybody want to discuss your art before we go into the breakout room? Please let me know. I would love to see your work that you're doing. I'd love to, see what you're doing. And I'd like to see whether you have any questions about my demos. Okay?
Well, there's only 4 of us, so maybe
Because
we're in
I
a
want to be
breakout
there
room.
for you. Ooh, excuse me. I don't want to be here for this.
5, I think.
Yeah, so you don't want to do,
Well, there's only 4 of us.
no, how is there only 4 of us? 3, 4, 5. 5 of who?
But
Okay, you don't want to do breakout room, that's cool.
one of them is you.
That's okay, I don't mind.
We're kind of already in a breakout room.
All right, so I'm going to switch off to, to another computer. So if we're not going to do breakout room, that's fine. We can continue on doing what we want to do. The only thing is that when you want to have a one-on-one, I don't want ready to hear your one-on-one. That's why we do breakout rooms, right? So we could just put everybody in one breakout room so they're together. So whoever wants to do a one-on-one, I can take you out of that breakout room and we can have our conversation. You know what I mean?
Good.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you. Thanks so much. I'm just going to leave this up here real quick. I'm going to cut off the sound. Excuse me.
Is anybody signed up for a one-on-one today?
No,
I'd be interested at some point, but don't want to, jump in if somebody else is.
I don't think anybody is. Go ahead.
Thanks.
Oh, you still can't get gallery view. Here, I'll show you mine if you're here, but I can't get
Hey.
gallery view. Yours, there's mine. Oh, come back.
Nice.
So funny on a different screen.
Very cool.
Jill, do that again.
Mine's only like tiny pictures. There.
Wow.
That's awesome.
I can see I have a big chin. I'll work on that.